Chapter 4. If you can make a cracking sound with your finger or toe joints, it's a sure sign that somebody loves you. Mama dressed with great care on Friday evening and looked beautiful. She wore a shawl trimming with feathers making her seem as exotic as a wood nymph. I wore black as usual, as I usually did for callings, the hint of mourning being a reminder of a solemn occasion. My skirt was especially rigged but not uncomfortable. My skin pricked and I was damaged under the arms. I was damped under the arms, but that was part of the thrill of performance. I assembled the supplies, a bell in a doomed glass case, the second bell underneath my skirt, a silver sugar bowl with a matching pearl handle scoop with a dozen candles with crystal saucers, a cork bottle of Cordial fishing line, and smelling salts just in case. We arrived at Mr. Poole's house in a taxi after sunset, while the sun had but while the sun still held pink light. According to our research, Mr. Poole employed 5 servants, and one of them was a gardener. There was a private held hedge on either side of the drive, and a tidy lawn bordered with flower beds, and still bursting with asters this late in the season. A man wearing an old-fashioned frock coat led us into a large room where fancy front doors opened into a terrace. A fire burned, trying to warm what the evening was cooling. The firelight danced against the walls papered with patterns of twisting ivy. Mr. Poole greeted Mamma by grasping both her hands and kissing both her cheeks. Her eyelids fluttered charmingly. This was never my favorite part, watching Mamma daddle. I remember I remained by the door, my face perfectly stupid. This is my daughter Annie, said Mamma, pulling me out of the shadows. She is touched, as I told you. She paused while I sent him a crooked smile and wobbled my eyes a couple times. The nuns at my school would have said that such a child was a blessing, heaven sent to, te- to test my faith. I believe that I certain I believe that I received certain communications because Annie is recognized as a creature undistracted by earthly concerns. Mama's golden tongue could turn even the blindest of a hideous and demanded child into a valuable possession. Mr. Poole bowed slightly without a wince or a shrug or a shudder. "Good evening, Annie," he said, as politely as if I were the town priest. Say hello, Annie," instructed Mama. "Hello," I said. "I noticed on the way up to the house," said Mama, "that your nurture is a few late bloomers. But those sunny-looking purple asters." "Christine planted those," said Mr. Poole. "I hope so," said Mama. "That is where we must dig. Annie," she spoke softly and clearly, "go to the garden, dear, and gather the earth." Obediently, I unwrapped the silver sugar bowl and stepped into the twiddly garden. I could hear the burpling of a fountain, although I couldn't see it. Though I couldn't see it, there was a smell of summer, of blossoms, even in September. I crouched to dig. As I crouched to dig, the bell slipped out of its pouch and jingled under my skirt. I crept behind the Veronica post to adjust my ringing before going back inside. The way the bell sometimes misbehaved made me nervous. Have you a trusted servant who could join us? Mama was asking as I came in. I held the sugar bowl reverently like a careful a chalice full of holy water. Spirits feel more welcomes, she said, if there is more than one familiar face. I like to fill the table for calling. There is nothing Mama loved more than an audience. Mr. Poole pressed a button emblems with the middle piece. I have my man, Douglas, come up with his wife. I have my man Douglas come with his wife. Douglas was the one who had answered the door. He inclined his head forward to each of us in a turn, then waited quietly for instructions. His wife, Nora, seemed fretful as if she expected to be carried off by a ghost. Is there a piece of lining that your mistress might have handled? Mama asked Nora. Nora. The maid went off to a chest and lifted out a lace runner. No lace, said Mama quickly. No holds. We need to contact the spirit. Another cloth was produced and spread over the table. Mama had the light dim and the candles lit. She placed the bell in its glass dome in the center of the table. She tipped it as she reached over to put it down, making sure it tingled faintly. If everyone heard it ring ahead of seance, they'd know it worked just fine. The sitting on the table, encased in glass, they expect to be muted. I perched on a stool the end of at one of the table, at one end of the table, and Mama sat herself at the other end. Mr. Poole sat beside her, and the servants sat across from them, but but one, no one but my mother was looking at me. I slid off my shoes. I blinked at Mama, signaling her to begin. Mr. Poole, do you have one of your wife's personal possessions with you? I requested. Ah, yes. He handed over a gold inked bracelet, medium weight and gleaming rose gold that was pricier than a regular yellow variety. One perfect ruby dangled like a pomegranate seed. An opulent crimson drop. I watched Mama's face as she held it and saw her glow of pleasure. Let us all touch what Christine has touched. Mama motioned to the callers as they placed their hands palms up on the table. To place their hands. Palms up on the table. She blew on the gold and passed it on, telling each one to add our own breath. As at my turn, I softly blew, clouding the ruby as if I was sending a kiss. As eyes followed the bracelet, I gently released the bell from its pocket and held the clapper through my fabric of my skirt. When the bracelet came back to her, Mama dropped it into the sugar bowl, which she lifted above her head. With a sudden flicker of her wrist, she tipped the bowl and sprayed dirt all over the table. The bracelet shimmered like a snake. Nora gasped and struggled up, offended by the mess. Don't touch it, whispered Mama, and Douglas patted his wife back to the seat. Mama and I hummed quietly together until the room seemed to quiver. Then crack! A sharp snapping made everyone jolt right up. I nearly giggled and flexed my other big toe. Crack. Christine Poole, Miss Mama said. Are you with us? Without even a shiver from above the surface, I jiggled my legs under the table. We heard the muffled ring, and everyone stared at the glass dome, tickled by the hovering spirits. Oh my, said Nora, with my feet tucked. Now on the rung of the stool, my knees were perfectly placed to make the table lift so ever so slightly. Ah! They were thrilled. Mama's voice came again, but not her own voice. This time it was a high and clipped like the voice of a woman in a hurry. Choosing a voice is one of the tricky aspects of greeting a spirit. We have to guess from what we know of a person's character or how she or he might sound. I want to speak with Gregory, said Mama. Gregory, are you listening? I have something to tell you. Oh my, said Nora, it's the mistress. You're haunting me, Christine, said Mr. Poole. Why can't you leave me alone? I am not at rest, Gregory. I wasn't ready to go. I didn't want to leave all my lovely possession. You've now got everything my father worked so hard to give me. But you're dead, Christine. You're supposed to be at peace. My money's there, my house, my jewels, my dishes, my dresses. None of it none of it can go none of it can go where you are, Christine. I'm surprised you still care about such things. Aren't you beyond it all? There's nothing to do here. I'm still waiting to learn where I'm going next. I don't understand. They can't send me to the other side until I let go of Earth. You must help me, Gregory. But what can I do? You have found the person to help. Give her whatever she needs. Her voice slowly faded. Katerina will guide you. Mama's head slumped forward. I wobbled my knees so to ring the bell again. Mr. Poole sat in a daze, his palms so flat on the table. Oh my, announced Nora. I'm coming over all this strange. She half stood up and then crumbled sideways and slumped to the ground in a heap. She fainted. Douglas kneeled beside his wife, fanned her face. I dove for our supplies in case, forgetting the bell which jingled merrily on my skirt. I froze. I looked around, catching Mama's glove, but Nora remained in her swoon. Douglas stayed on his knees, and Mr. Poole had jumped to pour water from the cabinet. Had jumped up to pour water from Carfad on the sideboard. Lucky, lucky, lucky. I grabbed the bell through my skirt and used my other hand to dig in the case for smelling salts. Of course, I had to look clumsy, but for the lady's sleep, I made a swift combination pain of several grunts. Accommodated by several grunts. While one whiff of the salts, and Nora started up like a kitten, stared up like a kitten under a tap. She tissed to find herself on the floor and let Douglas lead her quickly out of the room. The tender good night between Mr. Poole and my mother took too much time and required my monoenergic patience. He was utterly indebted, as Mama had predicted, and ready to sign up for endless sessions, cards, palm, tea leaves, crystals, callings, all to banish the spirit, and no doubt the memory of his dear late wife.